This is TNT, bringing you the thrill of NASCAR, the drama of the PGA Grand Slam, and the excitement of the NBA. This is TNT.
TNT Sports, in association with NASCAR, presents the NASCAR Busch Series. Today, it's Busch Series Racing from Texas, presented by Star Motorcycles. 33rd race of the season, scheduled for 35 races for the NASCAR Busch Series. Overcast and cool here in Fort Worth today. 43 cars gridded along pit road here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Let's take you trackside this afternoon and join today's pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the U.S. Army 2nd Battalion, 354th Artillery, 95th Division Color Guard present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Texas Motor Speedway track chaplain, Father Jay Atwood, offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Eternal God, Heavenly Father, Lord of all creation, we give you thanks for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us, and especially for the freedom we celebrate in this country, and for the men and women who defend that freedom every day. Today we give thanks for the drivers, the teams, and their sponsors, and ask that you would send forth your safety and protection upon each of them. Allow them each to do the best of their ability, and remind each of us that we are doing it to your honor and glory. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mercury Records recording artist Julie Roberts as she performs today's national anthem.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the Rockies' red glare, the bombs burst in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Let's hear it again for Julie.
Getting set to go here at the Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dollaback and Kyle Petty. Thanks for having us in for the race. Our buddy Benny Parsons will be with us tomorrow when the chase for the Nextel Cup Championship continues. Last week, Atlanta. This week, Texas. Tracks that look alike but are not alike.
Yeah, they really are. For now, anyway. This place is really tight. I was out in my Wally's World car this morning. The groove is very low. There's not a lot of room up on top of the racetrack. So everybody's trying to get their cars right down on the bottom. That's where you're going to pass cars. So it's going to be fast. I think the groove will move up eventually, especially for the Cup race tomorrow. But when it's that tight, that's where you have a lot of issues. You're going to have a lot of contact today because there isn't much racing room yet.
A number of guys doing the double, the Busch race and the Nextel Cup race, including some of the chasers for the Nextel Cup. Kenseth, Harvick, Burton, this big for them today?
Huge for them today. I'm one that always says it's never big. It's never good to run the race on Saturday. And a lot of people say that's what you want to do. But here it's going to be huge because I think the big thing is that the racetrack today is a lot faster this race than it was the first race for whatever reason. Whether they've got coil bind workout, whether they got their tires set, their tire temperature or pressures worked out, no matter what it is, it's a lot faster. So I think it's going to be big for these guys. One of these guys that are in the race today could make a big step tomorrow in the chase.
See how it all plays out this afternoon under cloudy skies at the Texas Motor Speedway. We'll take you downstairs and get the command when we continue on TNT. NASCAR Busch Series Racing live from the Texas Motor Speedway is brought to you by Star Motorcycle from Yamaha. We build it, you make it your own. By Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. And by AmeriQuest Mortgage, proud sponsor of the American Dream.
Harvick to the inside. Oh, contact there. Boyer to try it 3 deep on the bottom. Now it's Boyer and Harvick to the race lead. Kevin Harvick takes the checkered flag and wins at Memphis.
I got a really good restart there at the end, and I knew he was going to come down, and I knew I wasn't going to let off, and we made a little contact there, and, you know, that's what it's all about, short track racing.
Wild afternoon in Memphis today, the 1.5 mile Texas Motor Speedway here in Fort Worth. Kevin Harvick has already wrapped up the series championship, 3 races to go in the 2006 season. There you see the car of Harvick. Gridded along pit road here. 16 drivers doing the double, running in the Busch race today, and of course the Nextel Cup race here tomorrow. A number of drivers in this field to keep your eyes on, including Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick. Tony Stewart is running in this race, went to victory lane last Sunday evening at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Drivers all in their cars, the crews are ready. Let's take you trackside now here at Texas and get the command for this afternoon's Busch race.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Richard and Catherine Gagan from Bethel, Connecticut, winners of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Ticket to Ride sweepstakes with the Discovery Channel, as they give those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
And 43 cars roar to life along pit road here at Texas. When we come back, we'll take you down to pit road, get the stories, have the starting grid, and we'll wave the green flag here on TNT. TNT Sports live in Texas, Busch Series Racing from the Texas Motor Speedway, presented by Star Motorcycles. The cars have fired up down on pit road, and they'll start to roll off. Take a look at the championship standings, and there you can see 2006 champion Kevin Harvick has already clinched and continues to compete. What did you say he should do at Memphis?
I thought Kevin Harvick should take the rest of the year off. Every racetrack that we run, I think he needs to buy 2 tickets in the grandstands. One for him, one for the trophy. And we'll just go to him every now and then to just see how the champion's doing for 2006.
He's got the championship wrapped up with a lot of battling for position there in the top 10. Here's the starting grid for today's race for the NASCAR Busch Series. Mark Martin on the pole next to Kyle Busch. And you'll see chasers throughout this field. We'll be in action again tomorrow. Stephen Lights in row 2. There's Kevin Harvick. In row 3, Tony Stewart in the 19 car, and Carl Edwards in the 60.
I thought Stewart was done driving Busch cars.
I thought he was too, but he's got himself a ride here for J.D. Gibbs. And we'll take you through the rest of the starting order here, and let's see if Wally can't find Carl on the radio here.
Hey, Carl, this is Wally in the booth. Can you hear me?
Gotcha, Wally.
Okay, I'm not too loud, right? I guess I am. All right, so it seems like you got to keep these cars right down on the white line around this place. A little bit different than Atlanta. How's your car set up?
This AmeriQuest Fusion's pretty good, Wally. I mean, it's a little different here than Atlanta or somewhere else because the transitions. I mean, right where we're at right now, it goes from real flat to real banked. And yesterday we were real good in the center, but not so good in the transition. So hopefully we can keep it right on the white line and be real fast.
Now, I'm sure you would just love to stink up the show because it seems like you've had a few of them in the bag and have been run into quite a few times this year. What's your plan for today?
Well, the plan for today, my guys told me just don't be leading with 3 laps to go. They said if you can do anything, just be about third. They said that looks like a better deal from where they're sitting.
Well, your last win came here, right? So you like this place. It should be fun. Good luck.
Thanks a lot. Have a good broadcast up there.
Thank you. Carl's last win in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series came right here. Got a car on pit road. A little early for that.
Montoya's down there.
Juan Pablo Montoya making just his
I bet you he got up on the racetrack in the wrong spot and he bent that valence end. And that is just, that's easy to do, Kyle, because sometimes when you're coming off the apron, if you decide to go up on the track, it's such an increase in the bank that it'll tear up your valence. Now he's got to start in the back.
And you got to start in the back. And that's just, you know, he's not run a lot of these races. It's just one of those rookie mistakes that you make sometimes.
Okay. Well, we have early stories on pit road with Juan Pablo Montoya. How about some of the other stories today? Let's go down. Here's Matt Yoakum.
Well, Bill, for the start of this race, at least, Kevin Harvick's seat will be on the outside of row 2. Now, after clinching the series championship by the widest margin in series history, Harvick's reassessed his goals after scoring his 8th win of the season last week. Now he's looking ahead to the legendary Sam Marge single season mark of 10 wins in the same season. He says it's extremely doable because he's won here at Texas, at Phoenix, and at Homestead. So that's the mark he's shooting for now. The car almost perfect all weekend. One spring change, and that's it. The fun meter and comfort meter extremely high for Harvick. To Lindsay Zarniak.
Speaking of wins here at Texas, Jeff Burton won the first race ever held here at Texas Motor Speedway. That was back in 1997 in a Cup car. Jeff Burton starts today 20th, and he feels like his car is truly good enough to end the day in victory lane. So far in the Busch Series, his best finishes here at Texas have been second. To Marty Snyder.
Well, Lindsay, Clint Boyer will try to pull off the Texas two-peat. Last night in the Craftsman Truck Series race, he won in just his 3rd career start. I asked him if any of that information from last night would translate over to today. He said absolutely not. The trucks and the Busch cars are completely different. He said, you know, one thing I'm tired of, though, I'm tired of finishing second. 5 times this year he's finished second, including last week at Memphis. He said this team deserves another trip to victory lane, and it might come today. Dave Burns.
Marty, Mark Martin has used the word fun a lot in his racing as he winds down his Nextel Cup career, as he tries his last chase for the championship. Perhaps that hasn't gone well lately. The Cup Series has been no fun. He's basically out of the championship now, but the Busch Series has been fun, always has been for him. 47-time winner, and today he starts on the pole. He was the fastest qualifier. In fact, his lap was about 8/10 faster than any practice lap he had run. It caused Mark to laugh. It was so fast. He's definitely having a good time in today's race, Bill.
Thanks, Dave. You guys have a good race down there this afternoon. 3 wins for Mark in the Busch Series here at Texas. 4 winners are in the field. Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth, Casey Kane, along with Mark Martin. The transition here is a little tricky as you go around this track as compared to the Atlanta like you were talking about.
Yeah, to transfer, I don't know, Kyle. You know, these tracks look very similar, but they definitely drive differently, and it just seems like you've got to be on the bottom of this racetrack for a really fast lap.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Atlanta, you can go in the middle, you can go in at the top and cut back across the racetrack, or go from the bottom to the top. For whatever reason here, and you know, a lot of drivers complained about this place when they first started, that the transitions were too erratic, and Eddie Gossage and the guys at Texas Motor Speedway come in, reground the racetrack, repaved it, did a great job, and brought it in, but it's still just, you look at it, you look at the blueprints, you look at the topos, you look at everything, but it's still a totally different racetrack.
And the challenge is getting off the backstretch into 3 and into 1.
You just can't go in, you just can't, you need to be in the right place on the racetrack to make everything work for you on the exit. It's a funny thing. How you enter these corners dictates how you exit these corners, and it's not like that at Atlanta or some of the other places we run.
See how it all plays out. 43 cars ready to take the green flag here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Mark Martin and Kyle Busch bring them to the starting line. The green flag is in the air.
Steven Light down there in a 90 car. Trying to take second spot away from Kyle Busch.
But if there's anybody that likes running on the high side, it's Kyle Busch. So he's going to hammer it for the first 4 or 5 laps to see if it's going to work.
It's Tony Stewart in the 19 inside of Kyle. Kevin Harvick in that 21. Juan Pablo Montoya did start at the back of the pack.
I'll tell you what, he may be trying to make another groove up there, Kyle, but he's going to lose 6 or 7 spots doing it.
know, we talked about this place not being like Atlanta, but it is like Atlanta in the sense that it is it's a momentum racetrack. You've got to keep your momentum up. And you see a guy who pushes out or does something or checks up to let a car in line, 3 or 4 guys freight train him, and that's what happened to Kyle. He got hung on the outside, and those guys had the momentum.
Carl Edwards is going through that as well right now in the 60 car. He's lost about 3 or 4 spots.
Stewart trying to take second away from Stephen Light. Gets it. Kyle Busch going the wrong way, Marty.
His move up there was not intentional, although last night in the Craftsman Truck Series race, he actually used that second groove to his advantage. But Kyle, he told me a couple things about that. Number one, it was late in the race, and he was on a little bit older tires. He said he felt like today the bottom groove would be really the only way to go. Wally, did you try the Highline at all in the Wally's World car or not?
No, you couldn't get up there, Marty. I mean, when you drive around the racetrack, you could see the distinctive line of rubber and dirt about a lane and a half up in the corners, and it looked like if you got up there you were going to slide forever.
That's Max Pappas in that 36 car, was trying to make his second push. There's Reed Sorensen around on the backstretch and into the wall. Caution is out.
Come on, you okay?
Boy, Max Pappas almost got in a wreck when he was off the racetrack.
Riding around on the apron. You're riding around on the apron and a car comes across the racetrack and hits you. That's when you know it's been a bad day for you.
Really? And the way the 41 came around, I'm not sure if somebody didn't get a piece of him.
You know, we talk about the transitions into the corners and getting into the corners.
Oh, no, he just lost by himself.
Yeah, he just lost it. But the transitions off are exactly the same way. You get cars that push up and just snap loose, and that could have been what happened to him because he lost it all by himself.
Look at how close that came to Pappas. He's probably going, what the heck?
Now let's see if we can find out what happened to Pappas in the 36 car. Contact with Augie Vidovich.
And that's exactly what Wally was talking about. Those guys are going to try to get to the inside of the racetrack, and there was Pappas trying to cut that off and get to the bottom of the racetrack, and Augie was there.
He's got a flat left rear tire on that 36 car. He is the lucky dog. Mark Martin is the race leader. Then it's Tony Stewart, Stephen Light, Kevin Harvick, and Kyle Busch. Early caution at Texas. You're not watching the race on a Sony high definition TV. What are you watching? Seven laps complete here at the Texas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Busch Series under a caution after Reed Sorensen went around on the backstretch and into the inside wall. Mark Martin is the race leader. That's Tony Stewart behind him in the 19 car. Stephen Light, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch. Then it's Paul Menard, Matt Kenseth, Ron Hornaday, John Andretti, and Clint Bowyer, the top 10. 300 miles today for the Busch Series, 200 laps here at the Texas Motor Speedway.
Carl Edwards was in the top 10. He came down pit road. Not sure yet what he did, but he's back at 36th spot right now.
Put Dave Burns on that.
Is that Dave Burns, man? We'll find out from Dave shortly.
Looks like Kyle's going to try and stay down there this time in that 5 car.
All right, Dave. What did the 60 do?
Do you want to watch the restart, or do you want to hear about the 60?
I'd love to hear from you.
Let's do both. How about that, Bill?
Perfect.
Okay, Carl Edwards had to come down pit road because his car was very, very loose. They adjusted the chassis with wedge and track bar. They also put one of those spring rubbers into the left rear spring. That will help tighten up the car, but it was just way too loose at the start.
And you did that during the change for the lead. Well done, Dave.
Thank you, Weber.
Tony Stewart to the point. Stephen Light's going to try and follow him inside of Mark Martin. Harvick in the 21, Menard in the 11.
Steven's getting a great education right now. I mean, he's not used to racing around really, really good guys like this.
And he raced when he got down to turn 1. If you saw him the lap before, he gave Mark plenty of room because he's not used to racing against guys like Mark. Mark was going to give him enough room no matter what because Mark's a veteran, but he gave Mark a little bit extra room.
Kyle Busch in 3rd, then Harvick falls in line. Busch in 4th, rather, than Harvick, then Menard. Watch how this unfolds, and let's check with Marty Snyder.
And Bill, Reed Sorensen came to the garage, was very interested in his right rear tire. Did you have a flat?
I don't know. It's we had a flat spot on it from where we slid across the track there, but the car was just really loose. It looked like a couple of guys out there. Saw Burton go up the track a little bit. I don't know. The car was great yesterday, and it's a little bit cooler today. And I'm not sure if they loosened it up anymore or what they did, but it's been kind of a rough year for these guys. But they've worked hard all year, and we'll try to get back out there and run some laps.
A lot of front end damage. He thought the car was so loose that the right rear tire might have been going flat. That's what caused him to wreck. Thanks, Marty. Sorensen came in 10th in the Busch Series points.
That's what we want to think, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
that's what we want to
When you're a driver,
think.
you want to hope that something broke or went flat.
Yeah, please tell me you took 2% of wedge out of this thing last night. That's why it's this loose.
Harvick working on Kyle Busch. Side by side across the line, then Busch edges forward. Stewart continues to run out front. Let's get an update from Matt.
And he said after final practice that the car had unbelievable horsepower and unbelievable grip, and Tony Stewart is showing just that right now as he is just pulling away from this field. He says the car just has a very nice solid feel to it. Now back in the spring, although he's never won a NASCAR event here in Texas, he did take home the Crown Royal IROC victory, so he'd like to add another win here at Texas in 2006, and looking very strong early, Dave.
And behind this battle, Matt, the 11 car of Paul Menard running. He restarted in the 6th position, trying to make his way forward. He's been very quiet on the radio. He's one of those drivers that talks only if there's something really good or something really bad going on with his race car. Right now, it's really good.
Thanks, Dave. Getting racy here at the front of the field. That's Hornaday. Working on the back of Menard.
That car looks pretty good right now. Ron Hornaday's car in a 33 car looks pretty strong. In the 7th spot right now.
Juan Montoya has worked his way up to 31st. He was on pit road before the green flag, and Carl Edwards has worked his way to 33rd after pitting under the last caution. Kyle Busch loses a position to Menard and may lose one to Hornaday right here.
You know, I thought Kyle just got hung on the outside there, and there was an opportunity for him to hammer it back to the bottom, but he chose to just try to work that lane in. He's just trying to work that middle groove. But he's the only guy out there working it right now of the good cars, of the cars up front.
Hornaday 6th, Busch 7th, Matt Kenseth, Casey Kane, Clint Boyer in 10th. It's Kenseth in the 17. Of course, Matt, the leader in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Right behind Hornaday. How about that 33, Marty?
An impressive run so far, Bill. The only words from Hornaday is that the car feels really good. It's actually a brand new car out of the Kevin Harvick Inc. stables. The car was slated for Kevin to drive at Charlotte, but during the week of that race, he made a last-second change. Said, no, I want to take that old car I've had so much fun with, the car that ran so well for me earlier in the year. Well, that car, because he clinched the Busch Series Championship, is now retired. So they had to bring out this brand new car, and obviously the new car out of the stable is awfully good as well. And the owner's making some progress too, isn't he, Bill?
Yeah, all over the bumper of Menard there. Bumpy racetrack.
You know, there's a dip in the corners, a little bit of a dip, and we've heard a lot about it from different drivers this week or complaining about it, and it's not any worse than it's ever been. I think why we're noticing it a lot more this race is a lot of guys are more in tune with coil binding this race than they have been all year round. We're running softer front springs, a lot stiffer rear springs. They've really mastered the coil bind, and when you master that, then every little bump, every little gravel, every little everything on the racetrack shows up. So I think the complaints are not, they shouldn't be against the racetrack, because I don't think it's got anything to do with the racetrack. I just think that the guys in the garage have worked so hard, they've got it figured out, and it's just a rougher racetrack because of it.
Yeah, so you guys just have to suck it up and go.
You just it's kind of like we used to do at Talladega when everybody run on bump stops and you just run. I mean, you'd get out of that thing and you'd have a headache for 3 days because it would just rattle your brain. And that's what we've got into with the coil binding now.
There you see the 9, Casey Kane moving inside of Kyle Busch. Behind them, the 17 of Kenseth, and then the 29 of Jeff Burton moving through the field. Lindsay.
Jeff Burton is so excited to be back at this track. This is his 260th career start. He has already inched up about 10 spots, you guys. He told me that the first time he won. It was his first win of his career. He actually lost his wedding band in Victory Lane. He made everybody stop, make sure they could find it, and then he was able to continue celebrating.
So they found it?
They did find it, and amen they did, right?
Yes. So Burton has moved forward after starting 20th. Currently runs 8th. An update on Matt Kenseth from Matt Yoke.
Bill, he's dropped back to the 10th position. Now, KP was talking about the bumps, and Matt Kenseth said the car feels very solid through the bumps. His only big issue is just the car is too free on exit. He was trying to hang with his buddy, Jeff Burton, the 29, but just couldn't quite do it. He's fallen from 7th to 10th.
There's Tony Stewart out front here after 22 laps here at the Texas Motor Speedway. NASCAR Busch Series Racing, presented by Star Motorcycle, live on TNT. Tony Stewart continues to lead here at the Texas Motor Speedway. 27 laps are complete, leads by 1.3 seconds over Paul Menard. Then it's Stephen Light, Mark Martin, and Kevin Harvick, the top 5. Stephen Light having a good run, but had some debris on his grill just a few moments ago.
Yeah, you see that big, it's actually a windshield tear off on the grill. He got behind the 11 car hoping it would blow it off, and that's exactly what it did. Got off of turn 2, and it just cleaned the grill for you. Marty?
He actually let Paul Menard to make go to make that happen, Wally. And the water temperature got up to 290. You saw how big that piece of plastic was on the front grille of the 90 car. They asked him, did you notice any difference after the paper or plastic got off of it? He said, yeah, the front nose is not stuck like it used to be. With that big of a piece of plastic on there, it's going to make that front nose stick, but it's going to hurt the water temperature.
Thanks, Marty. Good run so far for young Stephen Light. Learning by doing. Caution is out. This is for debris, we believe, on the front stretch. Caution number 2 this afternoon. Stewart, Menard, Light, Mark Martin, Kevin Harvick, the top 5. There's Tony. Got the win. Climbed the fence at Atlanta last Sunday night. Juan Montoya has worked his way up to the 30th spot, and Carl Edwards has worked his way up to the 28th spot. Tony's going to have some fun with the pace car here. And I imagine we'll see some visitors to pit road under this caution. Augie Vidovich in the 4 car is the lucky dog. Will come around to be the 37th car on the lead lap. Pit road speed 45 miles per hour. The pace car speed 55 miles per hour this afternoon. And as we've talked about throughout the season, you can't make a mistake on pit road, and your driver can't get caught speeding. Pit road is open, and Tony's going to lead them all down. Busy place, Matt.
Busy indeed, Bill. Now he's looking for the number 19 pit board sign. Stewart has most of his Nextel Cup crew members going to work on this 19 car. Says the car is just a tick tight, center to exit. Greg Zipadelli, his Nextel Cup crew chief, calling for a small air pressure change. Marty?
Matt, Stephen Light, the rookie, is on the bottom of your screen in that 90 car. He said his biggest issue is he's lacking forward grip off of the corners, 1 round down on the track bar, and 4 tires. Dave?
Well, they finally got Paul Menard to talk on the radio to describe his race car. A little bit tight off, a little bit loose in. They make an air pressure adjustment to try to help Paul. Came in second. Lindsay.
Dave, Jeff Burton is still just left pit road. He came in, he was finally talking on the radio saying the car was loose, but he was having a lot of problems turning coming out of the corners. Hopefully they made a chassis adjustment that will make a difference as he moved to the 6th position.
On board with Jeff Burton as he comes off of pit road. We'll sort out the running order when we come back to Texas. You're watching the NASCAR Busch Series live on TNT. Field has just gotten the 1 to go here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Come around, get the green flag next time by. Enter the BK Race to the Glory fantasy game. You can win a trip for 2 to the Atlanta race next spring. The game is free to play. Go to NASCAR.com and register. See, we got a couple of pit road penalties here. Randy LaJoy, too fast exiting. Scott Wimmer, non-compliant fueling. So they'll restart at the tail end of the longest line, and it's a very long line because we've got 37 cars on the lead lap.
Non-compliant fueling, what is that?
That probably means the catch can man did not remain in contact with the catch can.
That's all I need. In case that happens to me someday.
Yes.
Those are big words, though.
I was going to say, that's a very nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
Fancy, huh?
That was very fancy.
See, Clint Boyer went in 10th, and he came out 16th. Top 5 are Tony Stewart, Paul Menard, Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin, Stephen Light lost a couple of spots. Jeff Burton, Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth, Ron Hornaday, Greg Biffle, the top 10. Denny Hamlin's in 11th. Stewart takes for the green flag.
Green flag.
Getting that second groove worked in.
That's what we want, right?
Yep.
Stewart, Menard, Harvick, the top 3. Tony's obviously got a good car.
Yeah, he's got a good car. Be interesting to see what Menard can do if he gets to the back of him. I think the only thing he can do is try to get him loosened up, because I haven't seen that 19 off the white line yet.
The 19 has not left the white line. And during the truck race last night, Boyer hammered that white line, and that's what he said. He said, I gave Skinner plenty of room. It was just to the outside, someplace he didn't want to be. And I think that's what Tony will do. He'll give anybody plenty of room. You're just going to have to go to the outside, not the inside.
Skinner tried to find some room on the inside there, didn't he?
Skinner tried last night. Skinner tried. It didn't work. But I'm going to tell you, Paul's car, Menard's car, is really good. He rolls through the center as good as anybody there. As good as the 19 car is right now.
Yeah, like I said, I think if he can get close enough without picking up an arrow push to try to take some air off of Tony's spoiler, that may move him up the racetrack a little bit, but he's got to get there first. Got something, Dave?
Well, yeah, guys, think about this with Paul Menard. He's a young driver in this series and in the NEXTEL Cup Series. He made that race for tomorrow. But what an influence Pops Uri, Tony Uri Sr. must be on this young kid. I mean, he helped Dale Earnhardt Jr. make his way into the Cup Series, actually through the Busch Series as well. And now Pops is his crew chief on this car. Helps a ton. Actually, not necessarily crew chief, but helping along with the effort here. Just that influence and that guidance from a guy like Tony Uri Sr. just to help Paul along.
It's a leadership role, isn't it, Dave?
Absolutely, and it helps a ton when you're learning.
And I'm going to say something. The Uris are great guys, and when you have that leadership role, it's kind of like at Petty Enterprise. When we have a Dale Inman or somebody like that who you look to, who's won more races and forgotten more than you'll ever know just about, then there's that respect factor. And I think that's the deal with Paul and his crew. They respect what Tony Uri Sr. says.
Menard working on the back bumper of Stewart. There's Matt Kenseth, Casey Kane. 16 to Greg Biffle. This is back around the 9th spot.
It's like a lot of times you'll see these cars, they'll like come in and they'll get there, but they don't want to go to the high side.
No.
So they'll let off.
And then they lose double up off because, like I said, it's a momentum track, but they do not want to go to the high side.
And we saw Montoya is off the pace. Had an issue earlier before the green flag came out, now slowing on the track.
Bring it to me for right side tires and pull the fenders out. Right side tires and pull your fenders out.
Looks like he's going to probably get a little bit high and just hammer the wall.
And earlier we saw that Kyle Busch also brushed the wall here at Texas.
Not that hard, though.
That's right. Took a hard hit there, Matt.
Every lap, Bill, is a learning experience here at the Great American Raceway. Now, the one thing, if you look at the team going to work on the right side, beating out that right front fender, every lap that Juan runs is a learning experience, and he also learned how hard the wall is. The other issue that he learned is that every race car in this team stable is a little bit different. You have to work on the cockpit. He was having issues earlier with the headrest, not feeling comfortable. He had issues earlier with the valence on the pace lap, and he also had issues with a very loose and tight race car.
And, you know, that's one thing. When you're an open wheel driver, whether it's Formula One or Indy cars or something like that, a driver's got a lot of adjustments he could make from inside the car. These cars, you can't. I mean, you basically have to wait till you got to, no matter what your car's doing, you have to ride it out until you can get to pit lane for those guys to make adjustments. And that's something he's going to have to deal with too, is not having a bar or knob or, you know, just shocks or a computer roll bars or anything like that to help the car. And that's something that, you know, he's finding out in a hurry.
And he's going to have to learn to do it on different tracks, different link tracks as well.
And I think the other thing is exactly what he said. He's finding out that every car in that stable is different. When you have handmade race cars like these cars are, every one of them is not exactly the same, like a Champ car or a Formula One that's laid up in a mold and stuff. These cars are all handmade. These are artists that build these cars, these guys that work in the fab shop. And they try to get them as close as possible, but they all have their own personalities. That's why people like Rusty and those guys have named them.
See Kevin Harvick in that 21 car takes second from Paul Menard. Menard got on the back bumper of Stewart, couldn't do anything with him. Now Harvick takes the second spot.
It was almost like, it looked like Menard was getting an arrow push off that car because he could get up to it, especially getting down into the corner. Then as soon as he got into the corner, Tony would just take off, like the front of the 11 car stopped turning. But I'll tell you what, the 21 car of Harvick's coming in a hurry.
Imagine that. How about the 19, Matt?
Stewart has a little bit of a push, but while you guys are talking about it, it's a good opportunity to learn about today's race that you can carry over to tomorrow. That's exactly when you have your Nextel Cup crew chief on the box like Greg Zipadelli, but also when you have young Eric Almirola, who's sitting on the very end of the pit box in a gray sweatshirt. He's part of the driver development program in Joe Gibbs Racing. He's on top of the box to listen to the team communication as Harvick takes the lead from Stewart, just to hear when Stewart says the car is loose, and he can see the adjustments the team makes as to how tight the race car is. So it's a learning opportunity not only for Nextel Cup champions and championship crew chiefs, but also young rookie drivers trying to learn more and more in this sport.
Kevin Harvick becomes the fourth different leader of the race and trying to pull away from Stewart.
And Kevin just out-handled him by getting under him. When he got to the corner, it's just like they said when he was talking right there, when he said Tony's car's pushing a little bit. You saw Tony's car push the last third of the exit, and when it went right, then Harvick turned left and just got his nose up under him, and then it's over with.
47 laps complete. Kevin Harvick leads Tony Stewart, Paul Menard, Mark Martin, and Jeff Burton. Been a big year for Kevin Harvick. He's got himself another Busch Series championship, and he leads at Texas. The drama of the NBA continues. Big Ben's Bulls head to Cleveland to face LeBron and company, followed by Dallas at Phoenix in a rematch of last season's Western Conference Finals. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern Time Thursday. Let the truth be told, only on TNT. Some explosive action early in the NBA season. Those officials are not taking any flack this year. You'd already been tossed a couple of times, Wally.
By more than officials.
Harvick leads. Tony Stewart second, then Menard, Mark Martin, and Jeff Burton the top five. Let's get an update on Burton from Lindsay Zarniak.
This is Jeff Burton's last Busch Series race. Right now he said he feels a little bit free coming out of the corners, but if you look in his pit box, he's getting some help from his Cup crew chief, Scott Miller, who is joined on the right by Todd Barrier, who of course is Kevin Harvick's Cup crew chief. I went over and talked to them, and they said what they're looking for is to find out how the tires are handling out here. They said so far they really like what they see. They're hoping that they can use this information to help with tomorrow's race. And as far as Burton is concerned, his crew chief, Pat Smith, here in the Busch Series is trying to decide whether they need to bring him in sooner rather than later because he's feeling a little bit loose.
Thanks, Lindsay. Burton, of course, had a tough day last Sunday in the Nextel Cup Series at Atlanta. This is a temperature-sensitive racetrack, Kyle. It got a little cooler here last night for the truck race. It's kind of cool, cloudy today.
It's sensitive from the aspect that when it gets cooler, it just gains grip. Okay. That's all. It doesn't really change the balance. It doesn't do stuff like that. You know, you see places like Charlotte that get just junk in the middle of the day, really slick. About 5 or 6 o'clock they get really good, and about 10 or 11 at night they're okay, you know what I mean? But they don't get, but this place, the cooler it gets, the more grip it gets. So from that aspect, yes, it is temperature sensitive.
Stewart trying to chase down Harvick for the lead. Harvick took it away a few laps ago. A lot of lap traffic out there. That's Reed Sorensen, who's come back out on the track. He's currently scored 43rd, 46 laps down. 38's off the pace. Matt?
Jason Leffler reports that it smells like burnt oil inside the cockpit. He had a bad vibration before that. He says, I'd say the motor is blown up.
Turn 3 if you can. Turn 3.
Trying to limp it back to pit road or find a turnoff. Past the turnoff. We stay under green. Johnny Sauter pitted under the green, also pitted out of his box. So he pitted out of sequence and got hit with a pit road penalty. The 00 car came in because of a bad vibration in that 00 machine. He's currently shown 42nd, 4 laps off the pace.
Looks like he's going to make it.
Just coasting on back to pit road. Harvick continues to lead. Stewart trying to rope him in. Working their way through the lap traffic here at Texas with 31 cars on the lead lap. Harvick's out front. When we come back to Texas, we will take you through the field here in Fort Worth. NASCAR Busch Series Racing, presented by Star Motorcycle on TNT. Caution has just come out here
Tire blowed out or something.
at the Texas Motor Speedway. Shane Huffman. And you heard him say a tire blew out or something.
Yeah, when I looked up and saw it happen, I did see that thing come slide across the racetrack before he hit the wall. So he has something.
Run over somebody, blow a tire.
Kevin Harvick is the race leader. Then it's Tony Stewart, Paul Menard, Mark Martin, and Jeff Burton. Stacy Compton is the lucky dog. Here's the first look.
See that thing? It was off to the right. You can see the rubber was laying. I think we'll get another shot of it. You see the tire laying up there, but it definitely came off. If he had contact with somebody to rip the tire like that, or
that's well into it. You can see the damage from the hard hit and what's left of that tire on the right rear.
Because usually when they come apart like that, it's when you've rubbed up against somebody and it slices the side of the tire.
A radio almost comes apart like a recap. It's like you just throw the tread off the tire. So like you say, it's almost like after you've got into somebody and it's kind of cut the sidewall, it just lets it run itself off the rim.
So he takes the mandatory ride to the infield care center. Pit road is closed. A lot of cleanup down there. Turn 4, right near the entrance to pit road. And Huffman's car just sits there, waiting for the tow back to the garage. Now at Sunoco, NASCAR race points. Every 10-gallon fill-up earns you 200 race points, good toward cool NASCAR rewards. During the chase for the Cup, every race point you earn is a chance to win the chase for the race points sweepstakes. Get your race points at Sunoco today. Go to NASCAR.com or a participating Sunoco location for details. So you see the leaders behind the pace car here at Texas. Harvick, Stewart, Menard, Martin, and Jeff Burton, and Casey Kane, Stephen Light, Ron Hornaday, Matt Kenseth, and Greg Biffle. Been 4 different leaders in this race. Stewart has led 35 laps, and Harvick in the 21 car has led 21. Pit road will remain closed, so they'll stay on the track under caution here at Texas, where Harvick is the race leader. NASCAR Busch Series Racing live from the Texas Motor Speedway, brought to you by Sirius Satellite Radio, the best radio on radio. By Miller Lite, for great taste, there's no debate. Miller Lite, always a good call. And by Energizer, keep going. Still working caution here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Pit road remains closed, so the cars stay out on the track under the yellow flag after Shane Huffman crashed in turn 4.
From
on TNT. Stand up for what's right.
Where'd you get the drugs?
And bring down the house with a rock.
This is my town.
Walking Tall. Saturday, November 11th at 8 on TNT. We know drama.
Still under caution here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick is the race leader. They've completed the cleanup in turn 4 after the crash by Shane Huffman. And pit road will be open. And it could be a very busy place. We'll see how this all works out. 69 laps are complete. This is a 200-lap race, 300 miles on this mile-and-a-half track. And this could put these guys in a situation where maybe one more stop would get them to the end. We'll see how that works out. Harvick down along the line. That's Stewart, the Menard. Mark Martin and Jeff Burton, the top 5. They ease off of turn 4. Here they come, Matt.
Bill, it's going to be a battle of 2 Nextel Cup Series crew chiefs between Stewart's team and Kevin Harvick. Harvick says the car is about 90% there. Need a small air pressure change to tweak it even further. Lindsay?
Jeff Burton is really glad to get this chance to fix his car up a little bit. You see him there at the bottom of the screen. He had just come over the radio and said, I feel really, really loose. What they'll do is make a wedge adjustment, give him 4 new tires, and they hope that this is the change that makes the difference. Dave?
Paul Menard said his car is better than the last run. Loose in and center, little off the corner as well. They will make a wedge adjustment in the right rear, as well as an air pressure adjustment. Marty?
Dave, Stephen Light has kept his car in the top 10 all day long. He was loose on the run before this one. On this run, though, he was a little too tight. Half pound on both left side tires trying to fix that condition.
And you saw the NASCAR official working with Menard's crew there.
Yeah. Looked like he had a lug nut that was loose, had to come back and lost about 5 or 6 seconds.
Sort out the running order when we come back to Texas. Can't make mistakes on pit road. Paul Menard came in 3rd under this caution.
You watch the right front. Watch when he puts the other wheel on and he pulls away. You'll see he tries to hand tighten one, then the lug nut actually falls in the wheel. See, it just fell down right there. The official saw that. It's like, guys, you're going to have to come back and put this lug nut back on. So he's going to come back across. All you got to do is put it on hand tight, which we really like as drivers.
As a driver, you love to know he just screwed all those on with his hand. But that's the rule. He's got 5 on there, and those 4, they hammer them so tight with those with the air guns. They're 4 is plenty.
So do you ever wonder if the other ones are tight when that happens?
You know what? I don't know if you really think about it. You don't even want to think about it. You trust those guys. When you come in for a pit stop, you trust those guys that they're doing the right thing, and you don't even second guess them.
How about it, Dave?
And guys, you as a driver can hear crew chief Tony Uri Sr. talk to front tire changer Marty Udy and say, are the other 4 tight? And get the head nod, which is yes.
Thank you, Dave. Lights out on the pace car. Field coming to get the green. It's Kevin Harvick, the race leader. Then Stewart, Mark Martin up to 3rd. Then Jeff Burton and Matt Kenseth in 5th.
Ready.
Stephen Light, Ron Hornaday, J.J. Yaley, Kyle Busch, and Casey Kane.
Green flag.
30 cars on the lead lap. Back up to 17th after having a handling problem early in the race. Stewart trying to rope in the leader Harvick, and it's a beehive of activity back here.
Yeah, you got guys that are on the lead laps and guys that are a lap or more down, and you're just trying to weed through it the best you can.
Menard in that 11 car is 11th.
Biffle goes down to the bottom. Here comes Clint Boyer in the 2 car, down under the 50 car.
It's Danny O'Quinn. Quinn is the first car scored off the lead lap. We see how this unfolds on the track. We watch the 11 and check with Marty.
Bill, Shane Huffman brought out the most recent caution. What happened?
I think must have blew a rear tire or something there. I don't know. This is real unfortunate. I hate it for these guys. They worked hard on this car. It's a brand new car, first time out. Super fast right off the truck, and we had had a, you know, a decent qualifying effort there, but we was making our way to the front, just being patient. That was the plan, and you know, just unfortunate for the Navy. These guys put a lot of effort into this deal, and want to run good for them. Just maybe one day I'll catch a break on these big tracks.
Especially considering they were coming off a top 5 last week at Memphis, out early today here at Texas.
Thanks, Marty. Hard hit for Shane Huffman. Hornaday in the 33, Kyle Busch in the 5. Lindsay, what are you working on?
I'm working on information about Augie Vidovich. Augie wasn't too excited about how his car had been handling in practice. Now his motor has lost a cylinder. They're going to pit, they'll bring it in, and the plan, go under the hood, check. You see there, they're checking plug wires to see what they can do. But Augie Vidovich said he had been trying to take any sort of experience that he could get, and he was pulling from Ron Hornaday Jr.
Crash on the backstretch.
Jay Sauter.
Hard hit.
Can't see who. There was another car involved in that. Did not catch it when he went by.
4th caution of the race. Go back and take a look. Ooh.
Just, I mean, he just lost the car. Is that Pappas? Max Pappas.
Yes. And when it turns back to the right, it hits hard. Yeah. Even though it's moving, it hits hard head on.
He has made it back to pit road, but you can see the heavy damage.
Yeah, he's done.
To Max's car.
I say he's done. They make him.
Yeah.
He hopes he's done.
He hopes he's done. Exactly.
And they'll push that to the NASCAR Busch Series garage. So under caution with 78 laps complete here at Texas, the O'Reilly's Challenge 300. Still under caution here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Some of the guys that go over the wall, and the 12 car driven today by Mike Skinner. And last time they were on pit road, a little bit of an adventure. The tire got away, but watch this behind the right rear wheel.
The Jackman's not really paying attention. He just drops the car on the guy.
He just drops the car on the guy, wrinkles the quarter panel, and the guy just crawls out from under it, runs around to the other side, changes the left rear like he's got good sense. I don't know what the problem is, but that's incredibly dangerous right there.
The thing is, you see his buddy had a nice paint job on his helmet, and he didn't get one yet.
That could be it.
Because there's a lot of times
and by the looks of his helmet,
and by
the looks of his helmet, like you said, a car had been dropped on his head one time before.
And what was he doing under there?
He was sweeping the shock. He was adjusting. I don't know whether it's compression adjustable or rebound adjustable, but what he was doing was making an adjustment to the car, and that's what you have to do. You have to get all the way under there. On the Cup Series, when you see things like that happen, they'll throw a jack stand under the car in case the jack breaks, because you don't want a car to fall on somebody, and that's what should have been done right there. Do not attempt that at home, please. Nobody attempt that in your driveway, because that is against every rule these guys are ever taught.
And normally when you're going under there sweeping shocks, you're lost.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
I mean, your car's not very good, so you're throwing everything at it.
Field about half a lap from going back to green. Hey, Matt Yoakum, what are you doing down there?
I'm down in the 17 pit, just checking on Matt Kendall. He's made a huge gain. He's up to 5th.
Yeah.
Small adjustments there.
Yeah, Mac's car went to the garage. You got a quick story on Pappas?
Well, this is a huge weekend for Max, making his first oval track start in the NASCAR Busch Series. It's also huge for his father, Caesar, who's been keeping abreast of Max's weekend back in Italy. Now, Caesar's been battling cancer. Max has been giving him updates. In fact, at 3 a.m. Italy time, he called to let him know that he qualified for the race. And they're actually going to take their young son, infant son, Marco, to Italy in about a week so his father can meet his new grandson.
Terrific. Disappointing day for Max. Getting ready to go back to green. Kevin Harvick is the race leader. Stuart Burton Martin, Kenseth, the top 5. Coming around a complete lap, 82, 200. On the lead lap. Keselowski, the 23 car, the lucky dog, under race caution. There's Juan Pablo Montoya in that 42 car. He's several laps down. There are your top three. We watch the race leaders and check with Marty, who is with Max.
Yeah, we found him, and unfortunately, he's out of the car, Bill. It was kind of a short day here in Texas. What happened, Max?
It was a very short day. I need to say thanks to everyone in the Sport Clips car and everyone in McGill Motorsport. We've been doing pretty good. We've been learning a lot. Unfortunately, I went out of 2, and the car span was all, smoke. I couldn't see anything, and they tried to guide me down, but, I just couldn't see anything. So I'm a bit of a disappointment day because I wanted to finish the race, and quite sad.
I know you also wanted to run well for your father, too.
Yeah, my father is back in Italy. He has cancer, and I promised him I was going to do the best race I could. Today is not definitely one of the best races, but I gave everything I could, and I need to say thanks to everyone, and I'm going to be back.
Matter of experience at this point, which he will get more of here in the Busch Series. Bill?
I look forward to that. Max is, there's no doubt that every time he's out there, he's given 100%, that's for sure. You raced against him?
Yep. Yeah, we'll probably race against him again here in a few months at the 24-hour. These guys are just, they look like they're almost content, Kyle, just sitting there in the top 3 anyway.
Just to ride. I think we saw the 11 car early. Paul Menard, like you said, he could run up there and then he would lose the nose and run up there and lose the nose. And he just run his tires off. These guys are kind of content to just kind of bide their time, run in line, and they're getting away from the 4th, 5th, and 6th place guys.
That's Light in 6th and J.J. Yaley in 7th. Update on the 90 car from Marty.
And Bill, what an outstanding day for this young rookie who told me before the race, listen, I just want to complete all the laps. I want to finish on the lead lap. We already have 1 top 10 this year. I would love to get a top 5. He said, I think we're close to that. I know the cars are getting better. I'm getting more comfortable. And clearly, here we are, 87 laps in. He stayed in the top 10 all day long. Terrific run for Stephen Light so far. Dave?
J.J. Yaley having a good run as well. Started 14th. On the last stop, they worked on the car being just a little bit tight, a track bar adjustment to help that. But the car is loose in 1 spot. That's going into turn 3. So hard to turn most places, a little too easy to do so going into turn 3.
Watch and see how he handles that.
Now you can see Yaley's trying to get him loose. He's trying to get up on the back spoiler and get close enough to take a little bit of air off it. So far, the 90, Stephen Light's hanging in there really well. See, you see the 18 try to get up behind him.
Works on it.
Look, yeah. Stephen's just getting off the corner really good right now.
It'd be important for Stephen Light to finish on the lead lap, get all those laps in here today.
Well, it would. I mean, you got to remember, these guys are, they're rookies, and they're still trying to make, prove their point that they should be here as we see Yaley go down underneath. And, the championship may be done here, but there's a lot of guys that are still racing for jobs and their future.
But for a guy like Stephen Light, especially the day where his car is really good, he can go home and say, I raced with Mark Martin and Tony Stewart. I was not in the race with him. I raced with him. And that's a big step confidence-wise when you go home in the afternoon.
And he kind of let the 18 go there because he was working on him, so he was a little bit faster, didn't want to get in trouble. Now follow him, maybe learn a little bit and stay out of trouble.
No, he's running a smart race right now. I mean, he knows he's got a good top 10 car. There was nobody right behind them pressuring those guys, so he figured, why race him and lose a bunch of time. So right now, he's just running a smart race.
A little while ago, Lindsey Zorniak told us about the story of the Ford car of Augie Vidovich. He's been black flagged for leaking a fluid, which they believe might be oil on the racetrack, and he's returned to his pit stall. Yaley runs in the 6th spot. Then it's Harvick, Stewart, Burton, Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth are the top 5. Approaching the halfway mark here in the O'Reilly Challenge 300 at the Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth. Stay under green here at Texas. Matt Kenseth is on pit road. Matt.
Bill, he was running in the 5th position 2 laps ago, came on the radio and said, Jimmy, to his crew chief Jimmy Finnick, I have a vibration, I have a loose wheel, and then it got worse and worse. He finally said, I am coming. And he just now pitted, took on 4 fresh tires. He also said, you need to tighten me up a little bit more for answer. Dave?
And Matt, Paul Menard radio in. Tony, I've got a vibration. It's getting worse. Same exact thing. We're looking at the tires coming off the car. The right front doesn't look like it's got a whole lot wrong with it. That was the place they had the problem. And it doesn't look like they've got the holes rounded out in that tire. But Paul definitely had something he had to come on pit road for. 2 right sides and gone.
Okay, Dave, keep an eye on that. Let us know if you find out anything. So Ken's at the Menard, making unscheduled stops just shy of the halfway mark here at Texas.
Something interesting there. I'm just going to throw this in. You see the 17 car left pit road behind the 11, but he's in front of him on the racetrack, and that's just experience on how to lead pit road. Once you get on the flat down there, Kenseth knew how to make time around that end of the racetrack, and he's 10 or 15 car lengths ahead of Menard. Menard, being a rookie, kind of eases around the corner, not really sure of how far he can press his car, and there's a lot to coming in and exiting the pits.
And Kenseth is one of the best out there. I mean, you know, I watch from up here all the time, and Matt makes a lot of time getting in to pit lane, and once he gets off a pit lane.
Okay, here's what you're talking about, Kyle. Take a look.
Yeah, the 17's already rolling at this point in time, but you see that the 11 pulls out and takes his place in line. And here they are, and at places like this, because the groove is on the white line, we have to exit below the white line on the apron of the racetrack. You can go up onto the racetrack once you get around to turn 2, and once we get around to turn 2, the 17 car, he's already in 4th, and he's headed to turn 3 by then.
Yeah, he had a head of steam when he got to turn 2, and that's where he passed the 11 car, and it looks like Menard is coming back down pit road.
Slowing, coming off of turn 4, and he is headed for pit road again. So he's definitely had issues. Dave?
And Paul radioed back, that wasn't it. I still have the vibration. So they'll come down pit road now and change 2 left side tires. That'll make all 4. We'll take a look at those when they come off too and give you an update when we have it, Bill.
Well, if they pull these wheels off and it doesn't look like they're loose, they need to look at something else, because, you know, if the wheels were loose, you can obviously see that in the wheel holes.
And there's something else. Okay, we go back to these 2 cars, the 11 and the 17. Both of them have issues with vibrations. The 17 comes in, changes 4. He makes sure he takes the wheels out of the equation, or the tires out of the equation. The 11 car, wanting to press it a little bit more, only changes 2, and now he double penalized because he has to come back down twice.
Menard 6th in the championship standings, had his first top 10 finish here, 7th in the spring race. There's Harvick, the race leader, by 9/10 of a second over Tony Stewart. Then it's Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, and J.J. Yaley has made his way to the 5th spot. Harvick out front again. It's been a familiar sight this season in the Busch Series. Still under green, the 16 car of Greg Biffle making an unscheduled stop. Marty Snyder.
Yeah, Bill, all of a sudden we have a rash of flat tires. Biffle stayed out there for quite a while on the left front that you can clearly see that is almost all the way gone. Eddie Pardue, the crew chief, said, come down pit road, let's just change left side tires, trying not to lose too much time. They kept him out there as long as they could, knowing they would have to pit under green flag to change that left front tire.
Yeah, long way to go still. 94 laps in this race. Dave Burns has been following up on the Paul Menard situation. There you see the race leader, Kevin Harvick. Then Tony Stewart, Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, and J.J. Yaley, the top 5. How about it, Dave?
And on Paul Menard's car, it was one of the left side tires, the left front. But the issue with the lug holes, it was so slight that the radio traffic back to Paul from crew chief Tony Uri was they were almost perfect. But drivers, you know, it doesn't take much to make these things vibrate if they're just a little bit out of line.
No, it doesn't take much. If it's a little bit loose, or you throw a wheel weight, you know, you can throw a wheel weight. When you're talking about these speeds that these guys are running, it doesn't take much to get the whole suspension or I guess the whole platform out of balance just a tough, and you feel it through that seat, you feel it through that steering wheel.
Okay, well, Kenseth was running 5th, Menard was 11th, and Biffle was 12th. They're now deep in the running order. Harvick's out front. Let's take you through the field, starting with Matt Yoakum.
And Bill, The 21 of Kevin Harvick out front again. He's opened up almost a full second lead over the 19 of Tony Stewart. Harvick hasn't said a whole lot on the radio, which always means good things for the two-time NASCAR Busch Series champion. Meanwhile, the 19 of Tony Stewart thought they were making an air pressure change that would help keep them going in the forward direction, but just like the previous long green flag run, he has settled into about that second difference between himself and the leader, running about a tenth slower than Harvick. Lindsay?
Matt, Jeff Burton is right behind Stewart, currently running third. He said that on that last stop, they made a good adjustment. He was happy, but thinks they might have overdone it a little bit because now he's worried that his machine might be a little bit too tight. But Burton told me before this race, halfway through, expect the top group to come in. If that happens, these guys might be able to take advantage. Dave?
Mark Martin is old school. There's no question about that. Today they gave him a new school type of coil-bound type of front-end suspension, and he said it doesn't drive like a real race car with this stuff on it. Well, they've been working on it, plus the track is tightened up, and that has helped Mark, but it hasn't been a lot of fun. It's been fun for J.J. Yaley. He's driving to the front of the field. A track bar adjustment on the last pit stop is what helped that car come to life. The 9 car of Casey Kane also in the mix now as well. Last thing happening for him was that they had fixed the loose in condition, and they had made a wedge adjustment to try to help it around the rest of the way. They had to wait on had a miscue with the fueling and the catch can situation, and they had a little longer pit stop than they wanted to. Lost 4 spots on pit road on their last stop. Marty?
Dave, how about this run for 19-year-old Stephen Light, making just his 18th career Busch Series start. He has kept the car in the top 10 all day long. So it's a little too snug coming off the corner. This car also took him to his career best finish, 10th at Kentucky. The way this is going, he'll break that record today. Behind him on the racetrack, Ron Hornaday, who's having a spectacular run in his own right. On the first run, he was a little too tight. The run before this one, a little too loose. And on this run, he says, we may have hit it. The car feels just right. They finally found the balance they are looking for. For Clint Boyer, he's a little worried about the engine. Earlier on, he said the engine will not run like I would like it to. On the run before this, he said I could not possibly be looser. We need to tighten this race car up. They did that with air pressure and also wedge adjustment. Matt?
Marty, Bobby Labonte in the 77 car rounds out your top 10. Now, a big announcement on Friday, the Dollar General will be back in 2007. Bobby Labonte will run 18 times. Harvick will run his own car 5 times, and then they're going to have another young upstart. Curtis Davis will take over for 13 races. Bobby, though, at this juncture, reporting the car has a combo platter of small issues. A little bit tight, but yet a little bit free on the 77 car. Marty?
Matt talked to Chad Walters, the crew chief for Kyle Busch, and he said, I have no idea what's going on. Kyle seems to be committed to running that second groove just a little bit up. They're a little bit too tight. He said, there's no doubt this is the worst we've been all weekend, but we didn't change the car. I have no idea what's going on with it, and everything they've done to loosen it up has not worked. Denny Hamlin is back there with the exact opposite condition. His car extremely loose, meaning the back end wants to kick around. Here in April, Hamlin led 31 laps, finished 10th. Right now, Hamlin in the 12th position. Dave?
Todd Cleaver running right behind him in 13th. Marty doing a pretty good job today. Started the race 26th. The last time he came down pit road, his car wouldn't turn well. Said it needed some side bite. They made a wedge adjustment as well as gave it 4 tires. And they put the air pressures back to the way he started the race. That was his call. Lindsay?
Dave, Scott Wimmer is right behind in the 66 car. He started 24th. They have been battling tight conditions all day, but he's been able to make up considerable ground. You know, Scott Wimmer was a downhill skier growing up, and he says he uses the same type of strategies to help him barrel his way across the track. He's done so because now he's 14th. Matt?
Right behind him, Lindsay, it's Mike Wallace in the 1 car. Best finish here at Texas for Wallace was 19th 2 years ago. Now, at the beginning of the race, the car was loose. They put on scuff tires. That helped, made some adjustments. He says his biggest issue is just traffic. The car picks up a push. That's his biggest issue at this point. Dave?
Carl Edwards still trying to recover from his bad running position after he had to pit on the very first caution for a car that was way too loose. Now, the one thing they have done for Carl is gotten it much better at the start of the runs. He says now it's controllable as we start the race run. I just need to get my track position back. Lindsay?
David Rudiman is right behind, and last time he did well, what he considers well here was in 02. He finished 24th. He said, hey, I didn't have a clue. Not that I have a clue now, but as you see, he is also battling very tight conditions. He told me before this race that he wasn't going to be happy if he didn't finish in the top 20. Right behind Rudiman is the number 25 of Ashton Lewis Jr. Lewis also battling those tight positions. He also had a pit stop. They felt like it was very successful, but Ashton, as you guys have talked about, just one of the guys that is out here looking for a job. Marty?
Well, Lindsay, the weekend did not start so well for young Steve Wallace. He's just 18 years old, making his first ever Texas start. The bad start to the weekend was when he wrecked his primary car into the wall, right about where he is right now on the racetrack. This is the backup, though, and the day's gone pretty well on race day for Steve. He says the car way too loose getting into the corner, doesn't have the comfortability that he would like. They went down on the track bar. They also pulled a spring rubber from the right rear last time. That still hasn't fixed that loose condition. Lindsay?
Kenny Wallace is feeling very comfortable with his position right now. He started 25th, moved up to 20. Kenny Wallace has never finished out of the top 10 in series points. Right now, he is dangling at 11. He's not happy to be there. I talked to his crew chief this morning who said it's a personal fire that Kenny wants to put out. He's got to do that with the top 10 finish today.
He's got his work cut out for that. Lindsay runs in the 20th spot. 24 cars currently scored on the lead lap. Kevin Harvick in his 5 previous races here, 2 wins. His worst finish is 9th. He won here in 2001 when he won the championship and won last November. "124 laps are complete in the O'Reilly Challenge 300 for the NASCAR Busch Series here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Our Energizer lap leaders, Kevin Harvick has clearly led the most laps so far today. Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, Paul Menard's also led a couple of laps. Our Energizer lap leaders here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Menard currently scored in the 32nd position after having to make a pair of pit stops because of a vibration that turned out to be a loose left front wheel. Harvick, the race leader. Tony Stewart, Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, J.J. Yaley, the top 5. There's Tony. On board with Stewart. Take a lap around here, the Texas Motor Speedway, coming to the start-finish line right about now.
He's trying to get Casey Atwood there on the outside. Rolls out of the throttle. He'll let it roll for a while. Then he'll start picking up the gas right here. You see him get back out of it. So when he got back on the gas, he felt something he didn't like, whether it got a little bit loose or a little bit tight there.
You see these 2 dark places in the middle of the corner, or down in turn 20, right there in his hair. You see how the car bounces. Those are the dips that people are talking about. And you see Tony, when he goes into turn 1 here, he almost doesn't pick the throttle up full bore until he gets past those bumps, which allows the car to put all the power to the ground. Now he'll get back to the gas right here, and he's a lot better. He's got a lot better drive up off the corner. A lot of times when you do that, the car bounces out from under you.
73 laps to go. Mark Martin is on pit road. Dave?
And this is a little bit early considering the last pit stop was on lap 82. Mark saying he wants the car to be loosened up just a little bit. They're going to raise the track bar. They're going to put additional air pressure in the right rear tire and hope that works out better for Mark. He did find his pit stall. His business manager, Benny Ertel, was joking earlier today. He never pits this far down. He'll never find it. Well, with nobody on pit road, Mark is in. Mark is back out.
This really is early, isn't it, Dave?
I think so. I mean, most guys can run about 60 laps. You'd figure they could go to about lap 142 plus with some of the caution laps.
Right.
Well, actually, we've been green, haven't we?
Yes.
So about 142 or so.
Yeah, but some guys can't even make it further than that 60 lap mark.
I agree. I thought it was a bit early, and according to the crew here, he just wanted to come in because the car is what it is. It's not a race winner in Mark's mind, so they're not going to push it a lot when it comes to running it far on a fuel load or a tire wear issue.
And Mark's already had a tough day here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Lost a car in practice here. So Kevin Harvick is the race leader. Looking at pit stops coming up here at the Texas Motor Speedway on TNT. Tomorrow, right back here NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Texas over on NBC. Coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern Time for the Bank of America Countdown to Green. Just 3 races left in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Pit stops happening, Lindsay.
David Rudiman decided that he needs to take advantage and come down this time. He feels extremely tight, needs help, all the help he can get turning out of the corner. So they gave him 4 new tires, fuel. David Rudiman, who's hoping to make it into the top 10. Dave?
The 9 car of Casey Kane is in. They are going to make a track bar adjustment. Car not handling the way Casey wants it to. 4 tire change. Matt.
Kevin Harvick, the leader, also in. Harvick says the car is really good. No chassis adjustments going on the 21 car. Marty.
Oh, Matt, there's a problem on Kyle Busch's stop. They were too far over the line. The official said, push the car back. They are going to lose a load of time here on pit road. It'll be a 4-tire change with an extremely tight race car. They also missed a lug nut on the right rear. This is going to be a long stop, Dave.
Got a right rear lug. Go over this. Come on, hurry, hurry, hurry.
J.J. Yaley having a much better stop. He now leaves pit road. 4 tires, no changes for Yaley. He came in running 4th. Matt.
The guy who was running second earlier, Dave, Tony Stewart, is in. The wedge wrench is in the back window of the race car, making a small 3/4 turn adjustment. He says when the car took off, it just didn't have that uneasy feeling like it had earlier, which was great. The car, the back, just feels so into the racetrack. They feel pretty confident about this final run to the finish. Lindsay?
Jeff Burton is getting ready to pull into his pit box. Jeff Burton has all the confidence of everybody on his crew, obviously, because they said, all we need to know is Jeff Burton says that we just need to pit. Done deal, bring him on in. He said that he's furiously tight. We told you before they had made that adjustment. They're hoping now to loosen him up a bit. Marty?
Lindsey, Ron Hornaday has been outstanding at the end of this run. They're going to make no changes on this stop. He said, though, when he gets into turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in the middle of the corner, feels a little bit of a vibration, and he saw some smoke a couple of times, but they're not too concerned about the car very fast out on the track. Dave?
Todd Kleber coming down pit road now for service to the 06 car. Got to make it just a little bit better according to Todd. I got to be able to see out the windshield, so they'll take a tear off at the front, both sides. Air pressure adjustment for Kleber. Lindsay.
The 25 of Ashton, or 22 rather, that you see of Kenny Wallace there. Kenny Wallace, who we said before, was trying to get himself up there in points. Just left. They gave him 4 tires, fuel. Kenny, who we told you had been battling tight conditions. Hopefully they've done something to change that. Matt?
Mike Wallace in the 1-car service going on the right side, already coming around the left. He said the car, the biggest issue, the car really went to the loose side near the end of that run, making an air pressure change, just trying to tighten up that race car. Bill?
Thank you, Matt. These pit stops happening with 61 laps to go. And the one guy that could benefit somewhat from this is Mark Martin, and we'll explain that situation on his pit stop when we come back to the O'Reilly Challenge 300 at Texas. .145 laps are complete here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick is the race leader. Brad Keselowski is out of sequence on pit stops. Then it's Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, and Mark Martin, your top 5.
Finish your race, Kyle. Finish your race.
It's been an interesting situation for Kyle Busch, Marty.
That was the boss, wasn't it?
Yes,
I think it was. I think that was Rick
Wally.
Hendricks.
And let's see if we can recap what all happened. What happened was when Kyle Busch came down pit road, he went over the line. They changed the right rear tire while he was over the line. That was a penalty. So NASCAR said you serviced the car while it was outside the pit box. That's a penalty. Kyle thought it was a stop-and-go penalty. Came down pit road. The NASCAR official tried to hold him. He went through that, so then they held him for 1 lap. Kyle wanted to park the car. You caught the tail end of that conversation. Rick Hendricks said, finish the race. Do not park the car. Kyle obviously very upset, and this will cost them what would have been probably at least a top 10 finish, maybe a top 5 today.
Okay, now Harvick continues to lead here by over 2 seconds.
I see they've already changed the right rear tire, and the official's pointing saying, no, you guys are over the line. So now you'll see the officials in the back, they'll start pointing to the right rear saying, hey, they've already serviced the car when they weren't supposed to.
And the crew really didn't know what was going on because the one guy run around the car to check and see if the lugs were off.
And that's where he comes in. He thought it was a stop and go. They actually wanted to hold him for 1 lap. The crew said they did not understand that communication from NASCAR, and that's obviously being discussed in a very casual conversation at this point.
Yeah, The crew chief handled that very, very well. He told Kyle on the radio, that's just miscommunication between NASCAR and us. Just calm down. We'll be all right. We'll get it back in here. Kyle wanted to park the car. And like you said, you heard Rick Hendricks come on and just say, finish the race, Kyle. And believe me, I've heard those exact words from Richard Petty before. Finish the race, Kyle.
But did you?
Oh, yeah, plenty of times.
It's very frustrating, not only for the race team, but for the driver, because you really don't know. You know, we're seeing all this. He doesn't see what just happened.
Or hear the conversation.
Or hear the conversation. So right now, he's really mad at NASCAR, but he doesn't really know what the story is.
Right.
And, when you're out there to win races, or you're trying to win races and you're 4 laps down right now, this is no fun. You want to go in and just park it because you're here to win. You're not here, to run in the top 35.
And used to these guys that used to come over what's known as the bushwhackers now, they would come, and if they had trouble, they would park. Right. They just park because they weren't here for points or they weren't here for anything else. Now this series has gotten so competitive, and the money in this series has gotten so good. Companies like Lowe's, you need to be out there. We're talking about him right now. Lowe's is getting tons of exposure right here.
Right.
You need to be out there to get that sponsorship exposure.
And he's 7th in the championship standings in the NASCAR Busch Series. And Mark Martin was one of the first guys on pit road about 8 laps before the rest of the guys came down pit road. This has worked out for him. The staying under green puts him back in sequence, and he is 4th right now, Dave.
It works out, Bill, if he never has to come down pit road again, right? But how can you do that? 73 laps on fuel. Well, they just radioed to Mark. Mark, we don't have to come in again for fuel. Mark's like, we don't have to come in again for fuel? They're like, no, you can make it to the end. We'll see.
And that's a lot longer than what they just ran, Dave.
It was, but again, you guys have always talked about how you count the race backwards. If you know that 73 laps from the end of the race, you can go to the end on fuel, you might make your final pit stop then, and it might work out for Mark. Now, they're just trying to make him feel good and race hard till the end of the race, and he doesn't make it. There's another scenario. Marty, what's going on in your area?
Well, Greg Biffle's back on pit road, Dave, what they think might be a left rear flat this time. Remember, he pitted, what, about 35, 40 laps ago with a left front that was flat. Biffle said, I think I have a left rear going down now. This time they changed 4 tires on the 16 car.
Well, we'll see how these stories play in.
He's looking for that comfortability.
Comfortability.
That's it, comfortability.
And not gotten much right now. 158 laps complete, 42 to go. Time for our Holiday Inn race recap. Ceremonies here on a cool, cloudy day at the Texas Motor Speedway. Mark Martin on the pole. Lap 5. Trouble.
Reed Sorensen loses it off of 2. Mac Pappas, at this point, one of the luckiest guys out here, almost gets run into as he was having problems.
Hard hit for Shane Huffman in turn 4. Cut a tire before hitting the wall there.
Pappas didn't get lucky on this one.
No.
0-1. Jay Stoddard spins in front of him. Mac Pappas runs into him. He's got no place to go.
Our Holiday Inn race recap. Update on Matt Kenseth from Matt Yoakum.
Service has already been completed on Kenseth's car. Small chassis adjustments of the car with just a kick on the tight side. Now remember, Kenseth a little off sequence from the other competitors because he had that loose right front wheel earlier. He can go to the end, obviously, from here, but some other guys, there's some question marks, Bill.
Yeah, I agree with that, Matt. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out at the end if it stays under green, because, for instance, Mark Martin stopped on 128, and some guys stopped as late as 140 and 142. So Kenseth back up the speed. Casey Atwood in that 27 car. There's Kevin Harvick, the race leader. He has led 106 laps. There you see on pace to set a new race pace record here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Harvick has clinched the most laps led title for the 6th time this season. Stewart led 36 laps. Mark Martin 9. Those among the 7 different race leaders here in Texas this afternoon. It has just been a phenomenal season for Kevin Harvick, both in the Busch Series and, of course, in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Harvick has gone over the 5,000 laps led mark in his Busch Series career. 2 championships. He really has just been spectacular to watch throughout this year.
Tell you what, he can't bobble any right now, though. And that second red car and that screen behind him, is Tony Stewart. And they're running about the same lap times. Stewart's about a second and a half back. There you see Stewart there on the bottom. So, I mean, Harvick is pretty much kind of running away with it, although, I mean, Stewart's right there.
And you wonder how hard Harvick was pushing that car when he knew Tony had to fight his way through some of that lap traffic. On board with Stewart. Down the backstretch. He's got a 5-second lead on Jeff Burton, who runs third. There's Harvick, the race leader. 36 to go, 35, and we'll do speeds at the line when they get there. Team's coming.
It's been going back and forth, every other lap. I mean, one time Stewart's quicker, one time Harvick's quicker. Jeff Burton was quickest the last lap, or lap before that.
That time Mark
Martin. So get the top 4 or 5 guys who are running really good laps, very competitive times with each other.
Yeah, and this is one of those racetracks that you've got to hit your marks to make good time around the racetrack. You can miss turn 1 and it throws the whole racetrack off. So it's a mark racetrack. You've got to hit your marks, and that's why when these guys get in clear racetrack, they make really good time. They drop it back down 4/10 faster than the lap before. But when they have to lap people, it really slows them down.
So we'll see if Stewart can rope in Harvick. He's about a 2 2/10 behind Kevin. Kevin Harvick, the race leader, closing in on the checkered flag at Texas. NASCAR Busch Series Racing, presented by Star Motorcycles from the Texas Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick is the race leader by a little over a second over Tony Stewart. Then it's Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, and J.J. Yaley. Let's take you through the field, see how this is going to shake down on the closing 28 laps, Matt.
No issue about horsepower, just how good that 21 car is, but they are concerned about fuel. Shane Wilson has repeatedly asked Kevin Harvick, please save us some fuel. Meanwhile, the guy who's running lap times that mirror Harvick's is Tony Stewart, the 19. Greg Zipadelli says, we're close, but we're not really going to be concerned about fuel. We're good to go to the end. Lindsay?
I just talked to Jeff Burton's crew chief, Pat Smith, and I said, what do you think? Can you make it on fuel? He looked at me, shook his head, and said, are you kidding? Of course we can. So Jeff Burton right now feels like he's got a great car, but what he said was he's plowing behind traffic. Right now their strategy is just keep on keeping on.
Lindsay, I just asked Mark Martin's crew chief, Mike Beam, can a Busch Series car go more than 4.9 miles to the gallon? Because I did the math, and Mike said, I don't think so. I think our scale is all messed up. I think we're going to be 3 laps short. Big disappointment for Mark on a day that he wanted to be fun. As far as the 9 car goes of Casey Kane, they can make it to the end, according to crew chief Trip Bruce. And the 18 car of J.J. Yaley can also make it to the end on fuel and doing very well. Thank you very much. He crashed at the spring race here, so this is a big improvement for J.J.
Today, Ron Hornaday is in the 7th position. No concern for them on fuel going all the way. In fact, they're kind of excited about this, hoping that it stays green, because at the end of the last green flag run, they were one of the best race cars on the track and probably one of the fastest cars out there as well. Clint Boyer says his car is just a little bit too tight. He's asking on the radio right now, can we make it? And the team's joking with him, no, we're 5 short. Of course, they can make it all the way as well. No concern for fuel, but his race car is a little too tight.
We'll see how that plays out. Carl Edwards runs 9th, and Stephen Light in the 10th spot. And Kevin Harvick out front. 24 laps to go here at Texas. Come back, take you to the checkered flag. You're watching NASCAR live on TNT. NASCAR Busch Series Racing live from the Texas Motor Speedway is brought to you by Star Motorcycle from Yamaha. We build it, you make it your own. By New York Life, the company you keep. By Propane. Propane is exceptional energy. And by Energizer. Keep going. Fans bundled up here at Texas. They'll be back tomorrow to watch the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Race number 8 in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Kevin Harvick is the race leader by 9/10 of a second. Over Tony Stewart. Harvick already has 8 wins this season, the most in a season since 1984. 10 is the record. 1983, as Matt talked about, Sam Hart. The question is, can Harvick get to the finish before he runs out of fuel. Stewart has chipped another 1/10 of a second off his lead. Jeff Burton is 4.5 seconds back. And it's Mark Martin and Casey Kane. There's Stewart in the 19 car. Reed Sorensen has just taken his car to the garage, the 41 machine. He was involved in an early wreck in this race, but did a good job, came out, protected his point system. He's in a big battle for that 10th spot with Kenny Wallace. So by coming back out, Sorensen did pick up about 4 or 5 positions. And those points could keep him in the top 10 with just 2 races to go after today. We'll see how it all plays out when we get to Homestead for championship weekend. And that's just 2 weeks away.
Now we see first time both those cars run in the same frame.
Right.
So Stewart's making some ground right now on Harvick.
And of course they ask Harvick to save fuel, and you drivers love to hear that.
I just like to know how to do it. When you've got somebody in your mirror.
I would like to know how to do it too. It's like save fuel. Okay, where do you want me to roll out of the gas? The middle of the straightaway? I mean, what do you want me to do? I'm running as hard as I can, and you got to make as much time as you can.
And don't forget, maintain your position.
And maintain your position, yeah. And if you could, stretch the guy that's behind you. Try to pull away from him a little bit.
Stewart is really closed up. Harvick got held up a little bit there by Cleaver in the 06.
That lap there, Stewart was about a 1/10 of a second quicker. We'll see. It kind of evens out now when Stewart has to go by Cleaver.
On board with Tony. Down the backstretch into 3. Hear him roll out of the gas. Here are the speeds at the line this time. Harvick a little quicker. Burton in 3rd was faster than both of them. Update on Harvick from Matt.
And Bill, they are very close as far as the fuel mileage calculations go for the 21 of Harvick. They didn't get it quite full of fuel, so they know they are close. Meanwhile, the 19 of Stewart trying to chase him down. His gas man, Jeff Gooch Patterson, has his helmet off. He's standing in the pit, so they feel like they are good to go to the distance.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal for Tony, though. They got nothing to lose. Not that Harvick does, but because he's already won the championship. Kyle thought he should be sitting in the stands polishing the trophy.
That's exactly right. I'm going to tell you, Tony had to work to get around Cleaver right there. It wasn't to just catch him and get around him, and he lost some time right there.
And Cleaver's in 12th spot.
Yeah, Cleaver's racing for position too. This is not just, hey, I'm going to pull over and let you guys go because you're the leaders. There's 12 laps to go. I got to protect my position also.
Yeah,
so Todd did nothing wrong right there. Todd did nothing wrong. It just took Tony a little bit of time to get around him.
And that's why Harvick had a tough time getting around him, because that knocked him off the lead lap.
Whoa.
Casey Kane, J.J. Yaley. Get a little close there.
I thought it was close.
To be in the middle of the straightaway, it was incredibly close.
Hornaday in the 33.
These guys are for position.
It's 5th, 6th, and 7th. Kane up the track, where you will find him most places. Hornaday's going to try and make it maybe 3 wide here. Hornaday under Yaley, 11 to go. Again, fuel could be an issue for some of these teams, because as Wally pointed out last week, sometimes the crew chiefs just don't tell you the truth. Marty?
Well, Bill, as we talked about on these old tires, that 33 car is awfully fast, and they have no concern for fuel. So Hornaday trying to work his way through the field, I would say he's doing a pretty good job, wouldn't you, Wally?
I think he's doing a great job. He's trying to work under Casey Kane right there. Kane will, he'll take the high line, see if Hornaday can get. Yeah, he'll clear him here. No sweat.
That's for 5th. But that's about 15 seconds behind Harvick. We have seen fuel mileage play into a number of races this season. None more memorable than Tony coasting to the checkers at Kansas in the Nextel Cup Series for the win. Clint Boyer on pit road. Marty?
Well, I caught part of that conversation, Bill. Unfortunately, they weren't kidding when they told him they were short on fuel. This may be a bad sign for his teammate, Kevin Harvick. Clint Boyer having to pit here a little bit earlier than they would like. They've got about 2.5 seconds of fuel is all they have to get. Unfortunately, Clint slid the car when he came into pit road, and that cost him a little extra time, and this may cost them a top 10 as well.
Boyer, third in the championship standings. Boyer last pitted on lap 137, and Harvick pitted on lap 136. 7 to go. That's the race leader right there, Kevin Harvick.
If Boyer pitted on 137, Mark pitted on 120 something.
Right. Mark pitted on lap 128.
128, and he's still out there, right?
Right.
Yeah. So there's no way they got that car full then. There has to be, or Mark's just getting phenomenal fuel mileage right now.
Just listening to see if we pick up anything on the radio there. And you see Tony Stewart again is closed in. Just about a half second now behind Kevin Harvick. That's for the lead. Inside 6 to go.
He's got to pass him once he catches him. So far, I haven't seen the 21 off the bottom all day, so it might be very tough to do.
We saw last night in the Truck Series race. You can work on your blocking here at Texas.
Yeah, you don't have to move very far to block.
That's right.
5 to go, Mark. 5.
Mark Martin runs in the 4th spot. Jeff Burton is 3rd. On board with Stewart in 2nd, looking at Harvick in 1st. 4 to go when they get to the line this time. Dave Burns.
Hey, Bill, they were radioing Mark Martin as to where the car behind him was. That is Casey Kane. No pressure. Mark has been desperately saving fuel, trying to get to the end. Lindsay.
Well, just ahead of Martin is Jeff Burton, and I think he's scratching his head a little bit because he just came on the radio to his crew chief and said, I guess I got off of that last pit stop a little bit too slow, because he's trying to figure out how it is that with such a good car, he's now 4 seconds behind Tony Stewart.
This is 5th. This has been swapping positions the last few laps. Hornaday in the 33, Kane in the 9.
The way Hornaday caught him before, I thought Hornaday was just by him and had drove off and left him. It's hard to believe that they're still racing like this. Casey has jumped back up on the wheel, and he's driving on the high side right now.
That's the 5th spot. Hornaday now has it. And Kane falling back a little bit. He might be out of fuel. He is out of gas. Heads for the apron. 3 to go. Got a long way to coast around here at Texas.
Yeah, he may as well go right to the hauler.
Yeah.
Because by the time he gets there and gets fuel, this thing will be over.
These last couple of laps may be interesting. That may not be the last guy you see head to the apron in these last couple of laps.
Less than 2 to go now for Harvick.
Still about 2.5 seconds back.
Dave?
And that's a surprise on Casey Kane. He stopped on lap 135. That's 7 laps later than Mark Martin stopped. But we've been talking about fueling problems today, and that may be the issue there, that they didn't get it quite full.
Something to keep in your mind for tomorrow. White flag, last lap. Leader has the white flag. Harvick, and then Stewart runs 2nd. It was 0.8 of a second at the line, but Harvick can see Stewart in his rearview mirror, and there is some question about whether Harvick can make it on fuel. Down the backstretch for the final time. Harvick glued to that low line through 3 and 4. Off of 4, can see the checkered flag, and Kevin Harvick wins again at Texas. And you heard what he said.
Out of gas, boys. Awesome job.
That would negate the burnout, I imagine.
Well, I tell you, those guys just can't do anything wrong this year.
Not this year, man. When earlier in the year we saw him fall back to like 40th in a race and come back and has a top 10 finish out of it. They're just on this year.
Hornaday got the 5th spot unofficially. You see Hamlin coming home 8th.
You guys flash for a burnout?
Then we've got Bobby Labonte in 9th.
Is it?
And Clayton in 10th. Are they talking about the burnout?
Yeah.
You got a splash? Is that what he said?
Maybe he said you want to splash for a burnout.
I think that's what he said.
That's what he said. Yeah, and then he said something about it being legal. Maybe it's not legal to put fuel in a car and just get burned out. Maybe it's not. Let's don't try it. Never been brought up before. Go ahead. What are they going to do? Take points away from you? Go ahead.
All right, we're taking 500 points away from you.
And there you see his 9th win of the season. Chasing the record of 10. Yoakum talked about it at the top. No burnout for Harvick, just right to victory lane in the celebration.
This is where people get hurt, because nobody expects the winner to come straight to victory lane.
Well, you can't hear him either.
Yeah, nobody expects him to come to victory lane.
If they penalized about 800 points for that, we'd have 2 fun weeks coming up.
That would be big.
Lindsey Zarniak.
Shane Wilson never gets tired of Kevin Harvick winning, but you've got to tell me, I mean, how close was that for you guys with fuel?
That was way close. I gambled and just figured there'd be a caution and never got one. And, you know, we saved some and ran out at the line. So, you know, it was a little risky. I probably shouldn't have been that aggressive, but, you know, we said we're going to try to win as many as we can these last 3, and we did it today.
He says win as many as they can. Kevin Harvick just gets his 9th Busch Series win.
Thanks, Lindsey. That's where you say we had it all the way.
Yeah, and I don't know why you wouldn't be aggressive when you're 800 points ahead. That's the time to be aggressive.
834, but who's counting?
Yeah, that's the time to be aggressive.
Snyder.
Chatting with Tony Stewart, who was racing his part-time boss, full-time friend Kevin Harvick. And did you know he was having some fuel issues there, Tony?
No.
He ran out to the start-finish line.
That sucks.
That's good for him.
It doesn't suck for him. It sucks for us. But no, I wouldn't have wanted to win it that way. I mean, it was so much fun racing with him, and we just had 2 identical cars today to where we were, you know, we were the 2 fastest cars, obviously. But man, the Doug Hewitt and all these guys on the Joe Gibbs Racing Busch team and Banquet Foods, I mean, they did such an awesome job. I mean, this car was so much fun to drive today. It was rock solid, just a little bit tight, and you know, but this is the first. This is the first one that I've brought back to Joe Gibbs, the first Monte Carlo SS back to Joe Gibbs Racing that I didn't destroy. So, you know, it's fun to have a good day like this.
The car is in one piece. We're happy to report Tony Stewart finishes 2nd. Dave?
And with Jeff Burton now, and Jeff will finish the day in the 3rd position. In debriefing with your crew on the way in, Jeff, and trying to do some more of that now, excuse us. You said better, obviously not a race winner, but better than you've been most of the year.
Oh, we had a car that could win the race. I mean, you know, it was as, you know, as good as those guys. It wasn't better than them, but it was as good as they were. I guess I just did a terrible job getting on pit road, and they, you know, I went from being a half a straightaway behind to not even being able to see them. So I've not had my best week this week. I terrible job qualifying last night, and then that was a mistake that, you know, cost us a chance at the race. But Hardy and Chevrolet was fast, and you know, the car really ran well, and we weren't as good, we weren't better than them, but we were as good as them. You never know what can happen if you can be there with them.
All right, Jeff Burton, good finish today. Hard on himself, but obviously the team doing a good job getting him in the game today.
Thank you, Dave. 26th career victory for Kevin Harvick, just 5 behind 2nd place. Jack Ingram on the all-time list. He's in victory lane, and here's Matt Yoakum.
And the celebration commences as Harvick takes home another win here in what is a dream season. If you could have seen your crew chief Shane Wilson, you would have known how close you were on fuel. He was nervous. How about you?
Well, there's no burnouts for a reason, because it ran out coming off of turn 4, and you know, he told me to save some gas, and I saw the 19 coming. I figured I better start going. So if we'd have run out, it would have been my fault for not saving enough gas. But U.S. Coast Guard Chevrolet, Richard Ducato, Snap-on, everybody on this car, they do a great job week in and week out. And man, this thing was awesome today. So it's just one of those days where, one of those years, it's just been one of those years where everything goes right. And to come here to Texas and win a race, you know, a year from last year is really cool.
And you talk about that, a special win. When you look at the numbers, it's been a dream season, but if you run the table, like you said before the race, you can take the all-time single-season win record.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, Sam Hart is, you know, obviously been the king of this series, and Mark Martin, and anytime you can get in the record books with either one of those guys, you're doing something okay. So it's been a great year. It's been a great season for everybody at RCR. No matter what the outcome of everybody, everything that we do on both sides, it's been a great year.
And when you look at your season, when you do well on Saturday, typically you do well on Sunday. This has to give you some confidence for going into tomorrow's race. And you got a lot of money on the line in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, you know, tomorrow's car is really good. It was good in practice. Everybody's done a great job all weekend getting me comfortable in the car. And we didn't make very many adjustments. All we did today was make tire adjustments that I know of. And, you know, so the cars were pretty close. I feel like our car's pretty close on the Cup side, too. So just really excited for everybody involved, and talk about cutting it close. That's pretty good when you run out of gas at the start-finish line. Sorry, no burnouts. That's just the way it is. I don't have any gas.
No burnouts for Harvick, but a dominating day. His third Texas win, Bill.
And already thinking about tomorrow. His wife, Delana, he led the 145 laps today, including the last 56. We'll have full field of results and look ahead to tomorrow when we come back to Texas. Victory Lane celebration for 2006 NASCAR Busch Series champion Kevin Harvick, the winner here at Texas. Let's go downstairs to Dave.
And with Mark Martin now, who finished 4th on the day. After a whole lot of things going on, how much clear communication were you getting about what you actually had as far as fuel went and that sort of stuff near the end?
Well, I felt like we were the first car on pit road there. And so I was real confused about that. And then when he said a bunch of those guys couldn't go, I knew I had to be one of them because we came so early. And I was pretty confused when he said we could go all the way. I was just out there making laps. We had our AmeriQuest Fusion was a 4th place car today, and those guys did double duty this weekend working on it. Awesome job by Mike and all the guys. And that's what we had, 4th place car, and there's where we finished. So, you know, we just need to tune it up a little bit.
Mark Martin drove it to a top 5, a good run today for the 6 bunch.
Ron Hornaday gets a 5th place finish, the same place where you ended up last night in the truck race. How was it that you were so fantastic on those old tires?
Wally Rogers and all the guys back in the shop, they've been working their guts out. It's a brand new race car. We only got like 3 of them left. We've been wrecking everything, but I got to especially thank Outdoor Channel for sticking with me, and yeah, I finally got my top 5. But these car runs good every time if we can keep it out of trouble. This car runs like that, but it takes a lot of people, and just everybody back in the shop I got to thank for working their guts out and on the truck and on this Busch car. So I thank Chevrolet and everybody. It's pretty cool to come out here and qualify 9th in both of them and finish top 5. So Charlie, all the guys putting a whole new team together for next year, and I just really appreciated Kevin Delaney to give me an opportunity to drive their Outdoor Channel Chevrolet.
Ron Hornaday Jr. says he owes it all to his crew chief.
Thank you, Lindsay. Unofficial results from today's Busch Series race here at Texas. Kevin Harvick wins for the 9th time this season. Hornaday gets that 5th place finish. See Todd Cleaver back there in 10th. And you look at the rest of the results, we get ready for tomorrow. Race number 8 in the chase for the next hookup. Kyle, thanks for joining us. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks for having me, man.
We look forward to having Benny Parsons and Alan Bestwick back with us tomorrow when we go NASCAR Nextel Cup racing here at Texas. We'll see you tomorrow on NBC.